All right, so I did my internship at Baltimore Witness. That's our logo. It was actually designed by a 4th grade student in Baltimore County Public Schools. They held a competition to have like local artists design it and have it be like representative of the city. So this is obviously like the skyline of Baltimore, and this is like reminiscent of like that thing judges wear, like RGB. All right, so who are we? We are a nonprofit news organization, and our mission is to provide transparency in the Baltimore City criminal justice system through reporting on homicide and all non-fatal shootings, whether that's someone shooting at a business, someone shooting at someone else, attempted murder, self-inflicted gunshot wounds, etc. And our organization is a sister organization to DC Witness, which was founded in 2015 by our publisher is Amos Gelb, and he is an Emmy Award winning publisher for his work on documentaries and with several news outlets. And our team is very small at our office. We only have 3 full-time employees at the Baltimore office, and then the rest of us are all interns. So we have a senior court reporter, our editor-in-chief, and an assistant editor. And the rest of our publishing and data management, we outsource to our DC sister site. We are a registered 501c3 organization, and we are funded completely through donations and an initial grant. And a lot of the traffic that DC gets has funded us since we've only been around for less than a year. So what do we do? There's 3 basic sections of our work, and the first is court. What do we do in the courts? We attend bail review hearings, reception court. Reception court is basically where you get to decide whether or not you want to accept a plea agreement, or you schedule future hearings. If something's postponed, then you go there and they give you a new date. If you're changing counsel, you would go to reception court and do that there, so it's on the record. We also attend mental health and drug court hearings. So those are people who have either already been sentenced and they're going through a mental health or drug treatment rehabilitation program as part of their sentencing, or they're waiting for a competency evaluation to find out whether or not they are able to go to trial. We also attend jury and bench trials. A bench trial is when it's just a judge and the judge makes the decision about guilt or innocence. And we also attend sentencing hearings and motions hearings. In motions hearings, that's like modifying the charges. So if they start with like 1st-degree murder and then they decide they want it to be 2nd-degree murder instead. As far as data, we collect and report data on every homicide and the location to put it in our crime map, which you'll see later. And we collect and report the demographics of both the suspect and the victim. So when you click on a point on our crime map, it tells you the exact location, the victim's name if we know it, the suspect's name if we know it. It'll tell you that it was a 25-year-old white female, where on the body they were shot and what the outcome was if we know. We also collect and report trends on pretrial confinement and bail, which is what I'm focusing my research paper on, and how the use of bail has changed with COVID and how there's no longer an alternative to pretrial confinement if they're worried that someone is a flight risk, which is what cash bail used to be. We also collect charging documents and review case files. So that has all of the reports from the detectives and the police officers about why they're being charged and what led to the warrants being issued for their arrest. And then we report on that. So we write articles about all of that. We also do investigative stories about issues in the justice system. We interview attorneys, court officials, victims, families, and we create updates for social media throughout the day. And this is me. I'm not going to read you my whole bio. You guys all know who I am, but this is on our website. So any article that I've written, you can click on my name where it says author. It'll take you to this page and just talk about who I am. So these are my general responsibilities as an intern. This is everything that throughout the course of my internship I've done or have been expected to do. So I will sometimes develop the docket of cases for the day. So the courthouse posts all the cases that are going on, and then we have to sort through them and find which ones pertain to us, since we only do homicide and non-fatal shootings. Pre-investigation of cases, when we have a case number, we know they're coming up. We'll look it up and see if anything's been reported on it before, if anything's happened in the case that we need to know about before we get there. Obviously, I go to court, collect and report all that data I talked about, and update our database, write the articles, write social media posts, talk to attorneys and court officials to get information, and update our team as things change, because sometimes the courtroom gets moved and it doesn't show up online. You have to call and be like, hey, where is this and what's happening? And then every day at the end of the day, I'll talk to my team that I was working with on that case and let them know what's going on and where we left off. And then, of course, we try to always be coming up with potential investigative ideas and promoting readership and interaction with our site. So this is like a day in my life at my internship. I actually did all this stuff on that day. So I won't read the whole thing to you guys can read. But this was last Wednesday. I was covering a homicide trial for a drive-by shooting that took place outside of a bar on Erdman Avenue, the Garden Bar. And it was a long trial. It was 4 days. There were 14 different witnesses. And I actually just found out yesterday, I called the judge and found out that he was found not guilty on all of his charges. So he has been released. And he was in prison for 2 years waiting for his trial before he got found not guilty. So these are just screenshots from our website of all my work. So these are all press releases that I've written. So every time there is a homicide or a non-fatal shooting in Baltimore City, we get notified by the police department, and then we write up an article that summarizes what happened, where it happened, and what we know as of that time, which is usually not a lot. We usually just have an age, sometimes a race, sometimes the gender of the victim, usually not a lot of information about suspects, but we post all of these every day as they come in. And then these are some of my articles from trial and from different motions. So there's some that are about sentencings that I went to. There's a few about, the more recent ones are trials, because jury trials just started 3 weeks ago after they were on hold for 3 months. This one, if you guys heard about the UMD football player who was murdered, I covered that case last week. And then these are some of my special projects that I am probably most proud of throughout my internship. The first one was our investigative research piece on technology in the courthouse and how the move to Zoom court and video conferencing was difficult for our court system, because Baltimore City did not have Wi-Fi throughout the entire courthouse. You have to request a TV screen to present evidence 2 weeks in advance. So overall, it was really lacking. It still is. I was in a sentencing and the Wi-Fi went out and they had to go find a hotspot from the other courthouse across the street and bring it before they could continue the trial. So we did some interviews with attorneys and courthouse officials and their IT department and wrote about that. That took about 3 or 4 weeks. And then every month at the beginning of the month, we report on the total homicide amount for the previous month. So this was for January. And then we make the crime map, which is right here. So I made this and I added all these points. And this is the whole entire city of Baltimore, and all of these dots are from April of 2021 to now. The red dots are non-fatal shootings and the purple ones are homicides. And this, I just zoomed in. I thought you guys would want to see what it's like around Loyola. So this is where we are. This is York Road. This is Hopkins over here. That's Cold Spring. So as you can see up here, this is, you can tell by where the dots are that this is like the area, or these are the areas that we call like the black butterfly that have been redlined. And this is like Roland Park, the very wealthy white areas. That's why you can see such like a strong divide here on the map. Just to reiterate our mission, we are all about promoting transparency because the criminal justice system can be super secretive about what they're doing. They don't want people to know what's going on in the courthouse. And by informing the public and lawmakers how it's functioning, people know what issues are currently happening and how it can be improved, because you can't fix something that you don't know is broken. And then as far as service, we serve the entire Baltimore City community, its residents, its leaders, and the victims of the justice system, whether that's people who were wrongly convicted, people who were held on bail for 2 years, and then they go to trial and are not guilty. And we do this because, like I said, they can be super secretive, and to like provide the behind the scenes access is very important to making change in our society. Right, these are just some skills I gained in knowledge. I won't read the skills, but as far as knowledge, I definitely got a better understanding of bias, both my own and other people's, and a better understanding of how face work is used in the workplace, particularly with the attorneys and judges. When the trial's happening, they're very like professional and use very like academic language. And then when they're on a recess, they're joking and talking to each other about what they did over the weekend. So that was very interesting to see up close and personal. And then I also got to understand how different aspects of the system collaborate or don't. A lot of times they don't. And how they function together to create the end goal. And some of the obstacles and issues are that the justice system is unwilling or unable to be forthcoming and transparent with the people it serves. And even as an insider, there's pushback about getting information that's supposed to be public. Charging documents and statements of charges are public information, they're public records, but they're very difficult to obtain and they don't want to let you see them. They don't want to give you a copy. There's a time limit on how long you can look at them. They'll give you a stack this big and you have 45 minutes to look at it per day. And you can only look at one per day. And the biggest takeaway I have is that the reluctancy to change the system is not because people want it to stay unjust and inequitable. It's because people don't actually know what's wrong. They don't know where the problems are coming from. And if you don't know that, then you can't change it. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, it seems like you did a lot of like writing, like I guess like how did you like that, doing so much of it, and like how much leeway did you have kind of like in what you wanted to write?
I like to write and I'm a fast writer, so it's mostly the hardest part is like getting the information together, and then once you have the information, there is a style guide you're supposed to follow, but it's mostly just about like phrasing, abbreviation, what we like names we can and can't say. But other than that, I pretty much have like creative freedom over the way I present my articles. I get to decide what I think is the most interesting or important part of the day. So today I heard 4 different witnesses for an attempted homicide, and I focused on one aspect of one witness because I thought that was interesting. I didn't think people would want to read or care about the delineations on the bullet casing and blah, blah, blah. So I wrote about how they make photo lineups and how they select the individuals who go into the lineup and how similar or dissimilar the people they choose to be the others and not the suspect are chosen. Because I thought that was interesting. So I did get to like decide that on my own, and like whatever I think is cool or important is what I can focus my article on.
Yeah, thank you.